All right, Andy Stanley discusses John MacArthur and shutting down his church. The Lord does not require us to meet. What do you know? The Lord does not require us to meet. In a panel at Liberty University, David Nasser spoke with Andy Stanley about theological bias for being closed while other churches in the area, including Grace Community Church, stay open. Stanley responds, there is a theological basis for this, closing down church until 2021. And this is where I part ways with some folks, John in particular. Perhaps I've never met John, so you know, all I know is what I've read, I guess, like most people. You should go to his home, interjects Nasser, to a visibly surprised and uncomfortable Stanley who seems horrified at the idea. John said some not so nice things about me, not by name, but he's made some comments about those who have decided not to meet for the rest of the year. He said that we weren't really a church and we don't know how or don't care about shepherding our people. So I'm like, wow, that's a lot from somebody I've never met, but that's okay. Stanley goes back to the theme of what does love require of us, which is the basis for this shutting down. Stanley argues that ultimately it requires sacrifice for the community. So again, I think that the church always looks better when we're defending others people's rights rather than defending our own. The church always looks better when it is giving away rather than demanding our way. And this is what Jesus modeled. Guess I should do that. Doo-ba-doo-ba-doo, ba-doo-ba-doo. So the local church as a representation of Christ, this is a premier moment. This is a premier moment for the local church in America culture. And the question is, what are we going to do in this moment? And demanding our way, demanding our rights is antithetical to everything Jesus taught and everything Jesus did. So we think not gathering until 2021 is an expression of Christ likeness. See if I can play a video as well. Why is it like over there so far? Is that better? Yeah. That's better.
Entity, not any government agency and not any person in power. Christ is the head of the church. Give glory to him by being the church. And then you need to understand that you don't really have anything to fear in terms of the threat of this virus because the statistics are just so minuscule. The deaths are people, basically, I'll give you one statistic. In California, the average death of COVID is 78. In California, the average death normally is age 78. So there's not a significant difference from this virus in any other normal year. So you have to do that examination to the point where you can satisfy your own mind. But I think it's even more than that. I think people know that they don't see dead bodies all around, that their worlds, they may know somebody who had COVID and didn't even know they had it, but they found out when they were tested, or they may know somebody that had an illness. But we know it isn't a deadly illness. Everybody should know that.
I see dead bodies.
You have to decide what your priorities are. We always say, I'm not concerned about people dying of COVID. I'm concerned about people dying in sin. Mm-hmm. And 100% of the people who are alive are going to die. And after that, the judgment. And we need to be the light for the gospel. I tell pastors, have church and let Christ defend you.
Yes. Well, thank you so much. And just really quickly, I like to ask a particular guest to do this. If you could just share the gospel with as much time as you have left for the people who have never heard it or who need to hear it again. If you could please do that for my audience, then that would be so greatly appreciated. Sure.
Look, the real pandemic in the world is sin. The Bible says all have sinned, come short of the glory of God. The wages of sin is death.
The real pandemic is sin. For the one person who's watching, I'm just testing out my equipment. And I'm done now, so I'm going to end this video and be done. See ya.